Hello and welcome to BrandWagon Online. I'm Venegi Mahendra and today I have with me Mr. Sandeep Bhushan, Director and Head, Global Marketing Solutions, Meta India. Hi Sandeep.
Hey, good to be here.
Hi. So Sandeep, my first question would be regarding how the trends when it comes to digital advertising on Facebook and Instagram have changed over a couple of years. So if you could give me and shed some light on it, how it's different on Facebook and how is it different on Instagram?
Yeah. I think the starting point is consumers have moved to digital. And that acceleration was always happening. COVID pushed that even further. And our platforms are the natural home for all communities, just as you, us, businesses, non-profits, everyone came together on our platforms, more and more connection got formed. It's no surprise that the largest businesses to the newest emerging businesses are on our platform. Because consumers are not just on digital, they actually are sharing very clear signals that they're interested in businesses. So digital influence, which is a metric of how much consumers care to interact with businesses, is significantly up. When you come to something like Instagram, more than 3/4 of all on Instagram follow a brand themselves, right? Even before they get to see the advertising, they're already following brands. So we are the home for all communities. We are the home for businesses. And therefore, we are not surprised at all that these interactions are getting deeper and deeper. And again, from the largest brands to the newest emerging brands that you're interacting with on our platforms.
So, when we talk about brands, which categories do you see, coming more on board in both Facebook and Instagram, or do you think the categories remain same?
Yeah. So, fundamentally, all marketers are searching for consumers where they can engage. When we host the scale of consumers that we do globally, more than 3.5 billion. In India, Facebook alone, for example, is more than 430 million. Brands know that they can reach virtually every consumer they need to, right? And therefore, all brands are building both brand salience and driving sales. So let me give you a few names, right? Just to give you a sense of how the every part of the business ecosystem is represented. So from the largest brands, whether it's an HDFC insurance to Colgate, building a new brand on our platform, to a very mass Eno trying to get to rural audience, or a Lakme trying to do try-ons on our site interactively. And then you can go further on that to emerging brands. And we've heard about the D2C brands that are big on the platform and the newest brands that are coming on. So it's a very wide canvas. Because consumers are here, they are showing a massive willingness to engage with brands. All brands are here and they're driving their results. The magic sauce, of course, is how Facebook and Instagram are able to match the brands to consumers' interests. And that's actually what we call discovery. And therefore, all the consumers engaging with digital for businesses and being discovered by businesses sets up the business ecosystem on our platform.
Okay, two questions, but before I move on towards advertising side, sticking to business part of it, in the last fiscal, or rather, you have helped a lot of SMBs under Facebook for Business,
That's
right? So for this fiscal, what are your plans? How do you plan to go ahead and help SMBs and even small businesses for that matter under your Facebook for Business brand?
That's right. So we are in the service of business because our tools allow every business, from the largest to the smallest, engage with the consumers in the most efficient fashion, right? We saw the large brands. On the small business side, we actually go further to enable small businesses. And there are two key pieces. One, how do they go online? So skilling, digital tools, making sure that the process is very easy to adapt to. That's one. And second, going even further. So for example, we help with working capital, such as our thrust on loans and more interesting products that are coming this year. So small businesses, in fact, get that special attention because many small businesses, as you can see, are born on our platforms. And you've discovered them already. So both, therefore, large businesses and small businesses are thriving on the platform.
In that case, Sandeep, are you also helping small businesses understand the digital marketing and advertising landscape?
Absolutely. So when I said skilling, the skilling is about the very basic of how to set up a Facebook page, an Instagram account, or even a WhatsApp for business account. So we have an app for small businesses on WhatsApp, all the way to driving business results, which is when you take, for example, the emerging businesses, and some of them become large. So we've heard of the White Hat Junior story, which was acquired by Byju's last year, built virtually entirely on our platforms. So that's a small business, but I think a small business is merely small because it starts small. Scale up is total possibility, right? Or we talk of recently an illustration of an organic food brand called Two Brothers, which exports to dozens of countries and found their very first consumer on Facebook in a conversation saying, I want this product in America, and then it just expanded further. So small business are merely small now because their journey has just started, but our platforms allow them to go, and all our tools are available to every single small business. There is nothing that a small business can't do that a large business can. So that's the power they have.
Understood. Now, coming to advertising landscape, digital advertising was estimated to be at par with television, digital ad spends were estimated to be at par with television ad spends by the end of this year. And thanks to the IPL bidding, we have seen that accelerated. And how do you see as, a tech platform, it having an impact on the whole digital landscape for you? How do you see your ad revenues taking an impact, maybe for the positive or the negative, and how do you see it also changing the ROI in the end?
Yeah. I think the fact that consumers have been on our platforms has been known for a while, especially post-COVID. A marketer doesn't need to go and look at the data. They knew it was happening, right? When we talk of a reach of more than 430 million, you know the rural is fully in. And therefore, you have brands like Eno now doing very specific rural cluster-based advertising. Clean and Clear doing vernacular plus English depending on cohorts. So brands have got it. I think the industry numbers today are reflecting what many brands already know, that digital is way bigger. As late as even Q4 last year, digital and TV were together as per, let's say, the industry reports. This year, digital is way bigger, and we know that actually is still being understated. The IPL conversation only is one more data point to tell you that if you as a brand are not first on digital and more on digital, then you want to reevaluate because the facts are in front of us.
Yeah.
The important thing is, what should brands look for when they go to digital? They should look for exactly the same metrics that matter, which is brand salience and imagery and sales. The metrics don't change. The efficiencies go up. So when Nielsen put out its meta of multiple brands who did both TV and digital over the last many years, they found that the highest efficiency came from being on digital, specifically on Facebook. So in fact, CPM price on every surface varies. Yeah. So the right metric is cost of sale or cost of building a brand. Digital wins, and within that our platforms take the lead, and I'm reading really from metadata by third parties such as Nielsen.
So, with that, anyway, Facebook runs on targeted advertisements, as you've already mentioned. So when we talk about performance marketing here, will your share comes from the fact that, for instance, you have a lot of platforms which say that we will only get a share, or rather the money, if the result happens. For instance, the user comes and clicks on the ad or watches the whole ad, and it results into a sale, or it results into a search, it results into anything which is in our benefit. So how does your metric work in that way?
So we are very, very accountable to whatever are the goals of the business. And the goals start from brand building. So underlining that when I'm talking of, let's say, a Colgate illustration or an HDFC illustration, we are first talking of very clear brand uplifts. Okay. Then when we talk of, let's say, use of influencer marketing again, right? And you look at something like Hyundai's car launch, there we're again talking the metric of brand salience and buzz. The metric hasn't changed, right? And then of course performance marketing, which is, can I drive sale or conversion or purchase? And whether we go to a Mondelez illustration where they measured sales of, let's say, a Cadbury bar in a retail store, or across therefore multiple categories, we are talking about the metrics that matter. Now, with the right measurement framework, every brand therefore seeks to measure. And my invitation to every brand is therefore put every single platform on measurement again. The old paradigm of we will measure digital and TV separately is actually incorrect, because those were times when television was default. Now we know what is default, as you just described, right? So then how do you bring them together? So the metrics are what that are those that matter, and we have adequate proof points. Why does it work? I think that's the most interesting question, right? It works because fundamentally consumers on our platform are chasing their passion interests. As you, for example, look at your own feed, it's curated because you have suggested what you care for. Brands therefore interact with you, and it could almost be serendipitous joy that I was thinking of this, or I care for this and I want this. That's why brands get that much more value when they talk to you as a consumer. Then add further products such as messaging. If in the journey, the brand and your potential consumer can talk via messaging, let's say click to WhatsApp ad and start the thread. They go further down the journey and get closer to purchase. And then post-purchase, you will be seeing a lot of messaging from banks, for example, on your phone, on WhatsApp, where they're doing basic banking. So then the consumer is engaged, a post-sale or an upsell or a cross-sell is still possible, right? So across the journey, our tools allow for businesses to maximize efficiency at the scale of 400 million plus. That's actually the magic sauce. And if you measure this on things that matter to the business, that's our accountability.
Understood. Another thing that I wanted to understand, Sandeep, is that last year you had a partnership with ICC, right? Which had started. You had started monetization, monetizing on, right? So this year, how does your, especially on Facebook Watch, how does your whole sports category look like? Are you in talks, or do you plan to partner with more associations? And also one more thing that I've noticed, that for a longer feed you had ads running in between the videos. So have you seen that impacting your average time spent, or consumer viewers watching and just leaving it in between?
So let's start first with video on our platforms. Video on our platforms exists across multiple surfaces. What you just described as watch, and that's a massive surface for us. Overall, 50% of time our consumers spend on our platforms is on video. So video is that large. But video are traditional formats as you would expect, right? 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. But actually the other part is the exciting new formats of video such as Reels. Reels is clearly changing the way video is consumed, in the way you interact with it, but that's because the way it is created. For example, 80% of all Reels are with sound on as you consume them. A third of Reels have an AR effect. So AR is not future. AR is a third of all Reels produced today have an AR effect. What does that mean? That means video is not what we thought of video to be forever. It's like a long TV as a short TV format, plug it on digital platforms. Video is what creates deeper engagement and interaction, and Reels is a great example, right? The scale of Reels, for example, is just massive. In India alone, 6 million Reels are produced every day. That's the scale, right? Now add to that, for example, the engagement, which is they will have AR effect, they'll have interesting sound. So video is both short form video, which is Reels, as an illustration, and long form video that you spoke of, which is Facebook Watch. Consumers interacting across each one, and each one of these creates engaging possibilities for brands to push their messaging. And therefore, that's the portfolio. And what we are seeing is that the brands are able to see how to use each of these platforms differently in the sense of customizing their communication. So that's the portfolio. But again, with 50% of time being spent on video and the scale of Reels, video is certainly the way to communicate on our platforms.
Okay. And so again, with brands advertising in between, you haven't seen any kind of problem in terms of average time spent or consumers not watching the full video on Watch?
So on Watch, in fact, because it is placed correctly in the middle of the content, so completion rates are upwards of 75%. So consumers stay with the ad because they're interested in the programming before and after, and that's the core insight of why it's an in-stream ad. So completion rates are as good as any completion that you'd expect from a in-stream ad. So that's on expected lines. And Reels is interesting because advertisers are creating interesting interactive content there, which is a different set of dimensions.
Plus, reels are smaller; they're shorter. So, yeah. What about partnerships? Do you have any sport partnerships lined up?
So we're constantly looking at whatever engages our consumers. So, for example, we had the Spanish Soccer League, we had cricket, we have very exciting content partnerships on the entertainment side. So, all of these are part of the mix. But I think the most exciting part that we are seeing today is what our creators are creating. The scale at which creators are creating, in fact, is very, very significant. I give you the numbers. Interestingly, these also creators, a bulk of them, for example, come from tier 2, tier 3 towns. So the idiom is Indian, right? The language is Indian. The music they use, for example, in the global playlist of Reels, is Indian music that rules the roost, right? Given the scale out of the country. So I think exciting piece is our work with creators, because Instagram is a home for influencers and creators. Reels allows them to express even further. So that's the full package therefore. So you should expect to see a lot more creator content and of course very interesting publisher content as well across all genres.
Okay. One last question. When we talk about creators and influencers and specifically reels, as you mentioned that around 6 million reels are created every day, right? So if you have to give me an idea on month increase in that reels, how do you see it being picked up in India with an increase of, there are a lot of influencers out there now, and from mini to micro to really big influencers, and you have category influencers, fintech, gaming, everything. So how do you see the reels atmosphere really blossoming?
I don't have month-on-month data at this point in time, but I can give you a couple of interesting nuggets to give you the sense of scale. So first we spoke of how large it is, right? In terms of the number of reels getting created. Anybody on Instagram, for example, will engage with a reel, pretty much half of them will engage with reel at least every week, right? So that's the scale at which that's operating. More and more brands are now pursuing engagement through the reels format, which is driving their brand agenda. When we look at creators monetizing off our platform, that, for example, more than doubled. So the monetization that's happening for creators, that's more than doubled last year. So that tells you the scale of the growth of the influencer ecosystem. We also do very specific work around making sure that the transparency between a brand interaction with an influencer allows for very clear communication to consumers. When you see a branded content ad, where brands are then able to take the influencer content and take it further into the brand audience, not just the creator audience. That gives even more power to the creator ecosystem because brands take them wider. So lots of interesting pieces, and of course we do very basic work on taking the best of our products to creators through a program called Born Instagram. We might have spoken of that before. So multiple pieces of action happening to drive really the influencer play on our platforms.
So Sandeep, how do you see the whole creator economy evolving? This year, because creator economy is something that's been in the talks for a long time now. So how do you see it actually evolving this year?
So continue to grow is our very, very clear belief. And like I gave you one example where, let's say, monetization doubled of our platform. Consumption is increasing, creation is increasing, more and more tools are coming in. We spoke of AR, for example. New products such as remixes, which allows for even cooler engagements. So that's happening. And I think influencers today are playing two specific roles. One is buzz and excitement. The other is domain knowledge. So when you talk of finance, for example, I'm listening to a finance influencer because they allow me an understanding of a nuanced product. And more brands are now engaging across these influencer types. So the economy is only going to get, I think, more exciting and will continue to scale up.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sandeep. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.